Hey, everybody. This is part two of our study on Tennessee counties. And today we're going to be looking at northwestern Tennessee. Now, last time, and you can see on this map, I probably didn't do a very good job, but you can see the little gray kind of outlines here. This was our previous area. Let me get my little highlighter. We worked on these counties last time. You might remember Davidson and Williamson County, and even up here, we've got this little tiny county, Trousdale County. And down here with Murfreesboro and Rutherford County. So we learned a little bit about this area. Today, we're going to learn about this area over here. Now, I didn't know very much about this area before before I did this presentation. So it was good for me to learn. And I think that actually there's a couple of things that I mentioned to my wife that I think we want to go do in this area now that I've kind of studied it a little bit. So let's take a look at what we've got. Okay, the first county we've got is Henry County over here. And the county seat, which just means the place where their government is based, is called Paris, Tennessee. And if you ever go to Paris, Tennessee in the early 90s, they built a replica of this famous building. And it is the Eiffel Tower. So you can go see an Eiffel Tower right here in Tennessee. You don't have to go all the way to Paris, France. You can just go to Paris, Tennessee. It's a short drive. Paris is also home of the world's biggest fish fry. It is in the Guinness Book of World Records. Every year they serve up about 10,000 pounds of catfish, and that is huge. That's a massive amount, 5 tons. I don't know where they get all that catfish from. There is a lake nearby, and some of the catfish comes from the lake, but they probably have to bring it in from other places. I guarantee you they don't have 10,000 pounds of catfish in that lake. If you ever go to Paris, this is the sign when you go in, and it has a big catfish on it. I think catfish are ugly fish. Also, Henry County is home of the tiniest city in Tennessee. It is called Cottage Grove, and it only has 88 people. It's the smallest town in the state. And there are a few buildings there, but only 88 people live there, and people continue to move out. Also, in terms of crime, for those people that are interested in police work and crime and investigations, in Henry County, they arrested 3 people. I believe this was last year. And they found a toddler, and this is a little toddler right here, this little boy, and he was living in this cage. And he was surrounded by 600 animals, including a boa constrictor. And they had about a dozen guns and about 100 marijuana plants, and it looked like a drug operation. They arrested these 3 people, this lady and these 2 men. And I don't know if the little boy belonged to this lady. Maybe he did, but they were just keeping him in this cage, sort of like, an animal cage. This is a similar cage for like a dog. They had tons of dogs, tons of cats, and he was living here just kind of in this little cage. And they arrested these people. So I don't know. I'll have to see what happened to them. They look real rough, though. All right, the next county is Benton County. This is Benton County right underneath Henry County. And it is home to a couple of famous people. Probably the most famous gentleman is Colonel Littleton, who is still alive. He's this guy up here. He actually produces custom leather items. This is one of his suitcases, like his custom suitcase that he makes. Let me tell you, these things are thousands of dollars. So they are not cheap. They're not, for your ordinary person. Also, in the lake that borders Benton County, they discovered a new species of duck. The black-bellied whistling duck was discovered in 1978 at the end of Reelfoot Lake, and it had 8 ducklings with it. They now have observed multiple black-bellied whistling ducks, and sometimes, we find new species of things because they've gone undetected. There's not very many of them. Also, near Camden, Patsy Cline, who sang my mom's favorite song. My mom's favorite song is "Crazy" by Patsy Cline. If you ever want to listen to a nice song, that's my mom's favorite song. But Patsy Cline died in a plane flight with 4 other country singers, I'm sorry, who are all members of the Grand Ole Opry. They died in 1963, and Patsy Cline, she was probably one of the most famous country singers at the time that she died. And this is the plane crash, and there's Patsy Cline, and it's kind of gross. They usually don't put people's bodies up there, but there she is. This was from the Nashville Banner. Okay, Carroll County. Carroll County is right next door to Henry as well. Let's see, some famous things in Carroll County. Firstly, and this is on the next page, I did not know this, but there's a community called Hollow Rock in Tennessee, and there used to be 3 different railroads that met in Hollow Rock, and now it's just like sort of an abandoned town, but at a time it was a really important town on the railroad. This is where people used to get off at the railroad and they would get on another train to go somewhere else. So some people would come into the town from St. Louis, and other people would come in from Nashville, and then they would have a train coming in from Chattanooga, and they all met right at Hollow Rock. And Hollow Rock itself is named for this hollow rock right here. And you can see people have put a lot of graffiti on the hollow rock, but this is a hole in the rock. No other rock like this has been found apparently in the world, and some people think that it's a meteorite that fell from space and it is hollow inside as a result. Nothing else like this has been found. I wish people didn't ruin it like this, but they had to ruin it. Also, I've never seen Good Luck Charlie, but Bo Landry from the show Good Luck Charlie is mentioned as being from Hollow Rock, Tennessee, I guess near the Hollow Rock. And this also was a little bit before my time, but I bet some people watching this will remember this show. Dixie Carter was from McLemoorsville, and she was on the show Designing Women and Family Law. She actually passed away, but she was Designing Women was on in the 80s and early 90s, and there she is, Dixie Carter. She's from this county. And that's kind of interesting. This is Hollow Rock. Hollow Rock, Tennessee is now just sort of like a little abandoned town, but at one time there was a railroad that went to Chattanooga, one that went up to St. Louis and through Kentucky, one that went down to Memphis. I mean, this was like a really important place where trains came and let people off, and then you could get on a different train. And you can see that this building there used to be very grand, used to have windows and probably a cafe inside, and now it's just abandoned. Actually, they're selling this building. You can go buy it. I don't really know what they want for it. I probably wouldn't buy it. I don't know why anyone would, but it's for sale if you want it. All right, Weakley County. The county seat is Dresden, and it's famous for a couple of different things. Number one of our vice presidents and former senators from Tennessee, Al Gore, his mother was born in Weakley County. She, her name is Pauline LaFawn Gore, and she was married to Al Gore Sr., who was a senator from Tennessee. And then, of course, Al Gore Jr. went on to be vice president when President Clinton was in office. Also, and I don't remember this time in Tennessee, but I bet some of our parapros probably remember this time. Ned McWhorter, was the governor of Tennessee from 1987 to 1995, and he was from Palmersville. He was credited with doing a lot of really good things for the state. In fact, a lot of people wanted him to run again for governor for a third term as governor, but he served from 1987 to 1995. Also in Martin, Tennessee, they have the annual Tennessee Soybean Festival. It doesn't look like it was established that long ago. 1994 isn't that long ago, but you can probably, when COVID isn't around, you probably could go to Martin and go to the Soybean Festival. They have music and crafts and food, stuff like that. Also, I told my wife about this house. It's called the Moran House, and it was built in 1900. It is it is worth $227,000, which you think to yourself, that's a lot of money. But last week, my wife and I bought a house here in Nashville that is not anywhere near as big as this for $272,000. So we could have moved here to Dresden and lived in this big mansion and paid less than we paid for the little house that we just bought. I will tell you though, it probably will cost about $1 million to restore this house, and they have restored it. The people that bought it in 2013 have since painted it and they've turned it into a place where you can have weddings and stuff. So it's kind of neat. I just feel like Mr. Christian should have bought this house. This would be where my office is. I would make all my videos up here, and then I would stare out this window. Okay, Gibson County. The county seat is Trenton, and it's known for a couple of different things. You can see, I put a comparison here. The courthouse in Trenton has remained the same, although it looks like it's gotten, a paint job pretty recently. But this is the courthouse in 1901. You can see the horse and buggy outside here, and no pavement, just dirt. And in this dirt, the horse would go to the bathroom and stuff, and people would step all over it. It was real nasty. Now, of course, we've got cars. So there's a car in this picture, not a horse and buggy. And we have roads and stop signs and things like that. Famous country artist T.G. Sheppard is from Humboldt, Tennessee. I love T.G. Sheppard. He really was famous in the 1980s. He really doesn't do very much anymore, but he is one of my favorite country singers. Also, Miss Tennessee and later Miss America lived in 1987. You can see her 80s hair here. She lives they pronounce this Milan, Tennessee, not Milan, Tennessee, from what I understand. She lives there. And what's interesting? This is her a couple years ago, and this is her in 1987, and she aged really well. She really did. Also, Milan, Tennessee was the first place to fluoridate its drinking water. So you may know this, or maybe you don't know this, but they actually add something called fluoride to our water in Nashville and all over the state of Tennessee. And the fluoride in the water keeps your teeth strong. And it's something that is really easy to do that prevents tooth decay. So a lot of cities put fluoride in their water, but they started doing this in, I believe, the 1940s or 50s. And Milan, Tennessee is the very first place that they fluoridated the water. So here in Nashville, if you drink your water, it has fluoride in it already. It's like a mineral. All right, Obion County. This is one place that Mr. Christian just has to visit. And I told my wife, Stephanie, that we are going to visit for 2 reasons. Number one is in the town of Kenton in Obion County. It is one of 4 towns in the United States that has a very large population of white albino squirrels. There are about 200 squirrels, and they are albinos, and they're white, and you can see them, and they run around the town and things. I would like to capture one, and I kind of hope really that one of them doesn't get hit by cars or whatever. Anyway, they have a white squirrel festival on the 4th of July. I guess it would be the week that the 4th of July falls, and I need to go see them. I might just drive there just to go see them because I think they're really neat. Also, the town of South Fulton, they have a banana festival every year. And the banana festival, South Fulton apparently used to be a town that a lot of bananas they would unload bananas that had come from New Orleans up from South America and Central America. They would unload them there and distribute them throughout the area. And so they have a banana festival, and they make the largest banana pudding. They hold the record for it, and this is the banana pudding, and those are like vanilla wafers on top. So just like banana pudding and vanilla wafers, and that, I don't even know how many boxes of vanilla wafers that is, but that looks delicious. I love banana pudding. Also, the W.W. Morris house. This is in South Fulton. This house looks like it's kind of seen better days too. I don't know if they want to sell it, but you can kind of see, the roof shingles are sort of falling off. It was built for a banker and landowner, and it still stands today. Probably needs a little bit of work, but it's on the listing for historic places. And also, the Discovery Park of America is located in Obion County, and it is a place where you can go and they have like, not rides, but it's kind of like a science center, I guess. It focuses on science and history and technology, art. A lot of people go visit. It's kind of a tourist attraction. I have never been, although I would like to go. I really don't know if it's open right now, but I'm going to put a question mark on that because I definitely am taking a trip here just to see the squirrels and maybe to go to the banana festival. So I might have to go to Discovery Park too. All right, Dyer County. A couple of things about Dyer County that I thought were interesting. Firstly, the first thing is two different crimes here. The first is, and this was in 2013, there was a headline in Dyersburg that said "Man with cane robs Dyersburg Bank," and sure enough, this old man went into the bank and had a cane, and he he asked the teller for the money, and she gave it to him, and he walked out of that bank with that cane. I don't know how far he got. I think he got away with it. I could not find a single thing that said he got caught. So this old man went in there, robbed the bank with the cane, and he left. Also, on September 17th in 2003, this gentleman right here took 15 people hostage in a classroom at Dyersburg State Community College. His name was Harold Kilpatrick, and so it was kind of interesting. He was not a student there. And they said he was a really, really, really smart guy, and maybe he had some mental health problems, but he went in there and with a gun took 15 people hostage in a classroom. And the police tried to talk him down and tried to reason with him. And eventually, I mean, he ended up at the end of the standoff, he was being real nice with the police officers. He even ordered all the hostages pizza and had it delivered, but he would not let the hostages go. And so the police shot him. And I don't know if you've ever seen when they have hostages, but usually they have someone who has a sniper rifle, and they end up shooting the person who's taking the hostages. So they determined, I think, that he had some mental health issues because he was apparently brilliant, a brilliant guy, but he, just had some inner demons, I guess. Also, Dyersburg is home to George Harris. He was a pro wrestler. He was called the Baby Blimp. Um, I don't know. I feel like that I wouldn't want my nickname to be the Baby Blimp, but that was his nickname. And also, Dyersburg is home to Emmett Kelly Jr., who is probably famous for being Weary Willie, who is the sad clown. There is an entire group of people that collect sad clown merchandise. So if you can imagine, there's a lot of people that collect sad clown things. I've never seen the appeal of sad clowns, but he is the original sad clown, Emmett Kelly Jr. All right, Lake County. Lake County is up in the northern corner of our state. It's known for a couple of different things. First are earthquakes. In this part of the state, this is called the New Madrid Fault, and you can see here that these red dots indicate earthquakes. There are a lot of earthquakes in this area, and Lake County gets earthquakes all the time. We don't really have earthquakes where we live, but the further that you go towards the Mississippi River, and this is the Mississippi River here, the further you get to the Mississippi River, you have more and more earthquakes up here in this portion of the state. The second largest prison that is in the state is located in Tiptonville, Tennessee, and it is second only to the Trousdale Correctional Center. And what's interesting is when I looked this up, they also had very large amounts of COVID that took place in their prison. So it's just it was as bad as the one in Trousdale that we learned about last time that we watched the video. Also, Carl Lee Perkins, who wrote the song Blue Suede Shoes, he probably isn't as famous as Elvis, who ended up covering that song and making a lot of money on it, but he is the person who wrote the song and first sang it. And also, you can go to the lake that they have created artificially here at Reelfoot Lake State Park, and you can go swimming, although this is the same lake that you are swimming in over here, which looks a lot grosser than what these people are doing over here. But yeah, you can go swim there, and it's like a little lake beach. So it's not, like a nice sandy beach. It's sort of a lake sand beach. But, if you're kind of, don't have a lot of money, yeah, I guess these people are having a good time. All right, Crockett County. I'm not sure if this is the last one. It may be the last one. A couple of things about Crockett County. Firstly, Bells, Tennessee used to be the home of the Tennessee Okra Festival, and it does not take place anymore, but they had these wonderful magazines where they had like the Okra Queen. This lady apparently is the Okra Queen, and this lady was also the Okra Queen. These abandoned storefronts are in Maury City, and they were recently, the entire town was used. I guess I say recently, I think it was in 2013. The whole town was used for the movie Brave New Jersey, and they filmed the entire thing with these sort of abandoned storefronts in Maury City. So if you know anywhere that a small town that has an abandoned storefront, maybe a movie will pick it up. I thought this photo was interesting. This was taken in 1926. This was back then, in the 1920s, you've probably talked about in US history that Black children and white children went to different schools. And this was the Black school that they had in the town of Bells. And what's interesting is the governor of Tennessee at the time insisted that all children should go to schools that are modern schools. They should not go to schools like this that are wooden. So around this time, they started building bigger schools like the kind that we have today for both Black and white students. So by the time this picture was taken in 1926, this building was abandoned. And you can sometimes, when you drive in the countryside, you can see old buildings like this that were both Black and white schools that were little tiny schoolhouses. This is like a one-room schoolhouse and has four windows. But this was taken in 1926. I just thought it was an interesting photo. Also, there is a town in Crockett County called Frog Jump, and it is probably one of the funniest named towns in the state. The reason it's called Frog Jump is because they say it's small enough for a frog to jump over in a single hop. It's a little tiny town. Let's see, that is it for this section. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this, and I have just done another set of these slides. So I'm going to upload that one probably tomorrow. So you'll be able to check it out. So I hope everybody is having a great day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.